Swamp Watch Part 2. In the Supreme Court this week, there were 3 cases decided that most likely won't have a lot of impact on you. One of them was regarding a telecommunication subsidies to public schools. Another one was related to the ability of Holocaust survivors to sue in U.S. courts, to sue foreign governments in U.S. courts for restitution for property that was confiscated during the Holocaust. And a third one was related to processing of unemployment claims in Alabama. There was an emergency action filed this week, though, by the Justice Department on behalf of President Trump. On February 7th, a White House official wrote a letter to Dellinger letting him know that he was terminated effective immediately, in spite of the fact that his contract is for a 5-year term and says he can only be removed for cause, basically. He filed suit, and a lower court, Judge Amy Berman, issued a stay on that order, keeping him in place and setting a hearing for February 26 when she would take up the issue again. President Trump's team at the Justice Department filed an emergency order with the Supreme Court to vacate the lower court's decision, and sort of importantly, they declined to do so. So they didn't say yes, they didn't say no. They just sort of put it on hold until the 26th, when the lower court is taking it up again anyway. So it was an interesting test to see how much the courts are going to fall in line with President Trump and try and speed his agenda along, and how much they're going to follow sort of the standard order and processes of the courts. In the Senate, the big news is that on Friday, they finally passed their version of the budget bill, and it includes $175 billion for border security and $150 billion of additional military funding. The only Republican senator, you can see it right here, who voted against the Senate spending bill was Republican Rand Paul from Kentucky. He favored a budget with no more than $300 billion being added to the deficit, and he wanted to see deeper spending cuts. So he voted no. Otherwise, the Republicans voted unanimously for it, and you can see over here, no Democrats supported this budget bill. There was something called a vote-a-rama on the Senate floor to get this budget passed, and Democrats tried to introduce amendments to put forth some of their priorities. They introduced an amendment to get rid of the tax cuts for billionaires. They introduced an amendment to protect Medicaid, the health insurance program for low income and the poor, but only 2 Republican senators, that was Josh Hawley and Susan Collins, voted with the Democrats on those amendments, and so in the end that they were defeated.